The studio lights burned hot, casting long shadows over the set of the nationally watched political forum, American Perspective Live. Millions of viewers tuned in every week, but tonight the atmosphere was different, sharper, tighter, electric. Word had already spread across social media that Hillary Clinton herself would be appearing, and that Senator John Kennedy had agreed to sit across from her. Two political heavyweights, opposite in style and temperament, face to face in a room that could barely contain the tension. Backstage, the sound crew hurried between cables and microphones, whispering updates to one another as the countdown to air drilled through the building. One of them, a young intern named Leah, peeked toward the green room where the confrontation everyone expected was already brewing. Kennedy, in his trademark relaxed posture, sat with his legs crossed, flipping through handwritten notes on a small legal pad. He hummed as though preparing for a casual town hall. Hillary, by contrast, stood with her arms folded, her staff gathering tightly around her. She spoke quickly, sharply, her voice clipped enough for Leah to catch pieces. "He's going to try to turn this into one of his little folksy comedy routines," Hillary said. "We're not allowing that. The moment he starts, I'm shutting him down." Her chief aide nodded. "Understood." Leah swallowed. She had watched these segments for years, and she knew Kennedy's style. Folksy, yes. Disarming, absolutely. But beneath the metaphors and southern charm, the man could carve through an argument like a surgeon. Hillary was formidable, but tonight felt like two storms rushing toward each other. The floor manager lifted a clipboard. 30 seconds. Both politicians took their places on opposite ends of the studio table. Kennedy offered Hillary a polite nod. "Evenin', Secretary." She didn't smile. "We'll see." The theme music rose. Cameras slid forward. The red lights flickered on. "Good evening, America," announced the host, Rebecca Hart. "Tonight, a conversation many of you have been waiting for. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton joins us, along with Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. Let's begin." But before Rebecca could ask her first question, Hillary leaned forward. "Actually, Rebecca, I'd like to begin," she said, her voice crisp. "I think we need to address what happened last week in the Senate Judiciary hearing when Senator Kennedy misrepresented my statements on foreign intervention." Kennedy blinked once, slowly, as though wondering whether a mosquito had just landed on his saint. "I'd be mighty obliged if you'd let me know which part one misrepresented, ma'am." Hillary's eyes narrowed. The audience shifted forward. "Senator, I invited you here so you could correct the record. But if you intend to play games, then I'll be as direct as possible. You misquoted me repeatedly. And frankly," she turned to the host, "I don't see much point in entertaining further political theater. If he won't cooperate, I think he should leave." The words struck the studio like a sudden temperature drop. Kennedy slowly uncrossed his legs, sat upright, and set his legal pad down. "Well now," he said. "Secretary Clinton, I've been ordered out of a few places in my life. The principal's office around 4th grade comes to mind. But usually folks wait at least a few minutes before telling me to hit the road." Hillary shook her head. "This isn't a comedy club. The public deserves facts." Rebecca tried to intervene. "Let's allow Senator Kennedy to respond." But Hillary raised her hand. "No, he's here to grandstand, and I won't participate in it. Senator Kennedy, you may leave if you're not going to be honest." A murmur rippled across the live audience. Twitter and TikTok erupted instantly. Reporters in the control booth were already typing furiously. The host looked helplessly between them. "Senator, would you like to respond before we move on?" Kennedy nodded, calm as lake water. 46 seconds, he said softly, glancing at the studio clock. "That's how long it took before you told me to get out." Hillary shifted. "And your point?" Kennedy folded his hands. "My point, ma'am, is that if someone is real confident in their argument, they usually don't start the match by asking the referee to remove the other boxer." The audience chuckled. Hillary's jaw tightened. "Stop deflecting." "Not deflectin', just observin'. And I reckon the folks watchin' would appreciate hearin' what you claim I misquoted." The cameras zoomed in. Kennedy's tone shifted. Not aggressive, not mocking, simply steady. Hillary opened her folder, flipping through highlighted documents, the movement quick and decisive. You said, she began, that I advocated for direct military involvement in Eastern Europe last year. That is false. You attributed a statement to me that I never made. Kennedy nodded politely. Ma'am, I quoted from your interview with the International Policy Review, dated April 12. I never gave such an interview. Hillary tapped her papers. I said nothing of the kind. Kennedy blinked, once again in that slow, almost bored way of his. Well, I surely hope you'll forgive me for bringin' evidence. He reached into his pocket, slid out a folded sheet, and placed it directly in front of her. Transcript. Publicly available. You called for, and I quote, heightened cooperative pressure, including tactical support if necessary. Tactical support does not mean military intervention. Kennedy leaned back. Ma'am, with all respect, if someone brings a hammer to a job, they're fixin' to hit somethin'. The audience laughed again. Hillary exhaled sharply. You twist simple language into folksy metaphors to mislead people. Kennedy shrugged. Folksy metaphors help regular people understand complicated Washington talk. That's sorta the point. The host raised a hand. Let's keep things focused. Secretary Clinton, are you saying the transcript is fabricated? Hillary hesitated for the briefest moment, just long enough for viewers to feel it. I'm saying it's taken out of context. Kennedy's eyes glinted, and suddenly the temperature in the room shifted. Well, why don't we give the full context, then? He pulled another sheet from his folder. Here's the complete statement, uncut. Along with links to your public remarks a week later where you said, now I don't want to misquote, so I'll read it exactly, we can't rule anything out. Hillary swallowed. That was regarding sanctions. No ma'am, Kennedy said softly. It was in response to a question explicitly about troops. The studio went still. Hillary's staff visibly tensed behind the cameras. Rebecca looked trapped in the crossfire. Secretary, would you like to clarify? Hillary straightened her shoulders. The senator's interpretation is misleading. My position has always been the same. Kennedy lifted his eyebrows. If it's always been the same, then why'd your press office correct the statement 2 days later? A hush rippled across the room. Hillary's face tightened. My press office clarified what bad faith actors had twisted. Kennedy smiled, not smugly, not triumphantly, just quietly, like someone who had led his opponent exactly where he wanted them. Secretary, he said, I've been called a lot of things. But a bad faith actor ain't one. And you told me to leave this stage 46 seconds after we started because you thought I'd crumble the moment you got tough. He leaned forward, voice low. But toughness isn't about shoving someone out of the room. It's about staying in it even when the truth makes your palms itch. Gasps broke out among the audience. Rebecca had to speak just to break the spell. Senator, are you accusing Secretary Clinton of hiding the truth? Kennedy shook his head. No ma'am, I'm saying she doesn't like being reminded of it. Hillary pushed her chair back slightly. You're absurd. Maybe, Kennedy said, but I'm accurate. The host shuffled her cards, uneasy. Let's steer this toward policy. But it was too late. The tension had fully materialized. The viewers felt it, the crew felt it, and Hillary felt it more than anyone. Something about Kennedy's unshakable calmness made her responses sharper than intended. Her irritation fed his composure, and his composure further unnerved her. It was a cycle neither the cameras nor the public would forget. Hillary flipped her folder shut. Senator, you thrive on creating sound bites. You misrepresent, oversimplify, and pander. Kennedy chuckled. Secretary, pandering is promisin', folks something shiny you never intend to deliver. I don't promise much. I just point out what's missin'. Hillary leaned closer. You don't operate with seriousness. Kennedy mirrored the lean, voice soft. And you don't operate well under pressure. The audience erupted. Even the host couldn't hide a smirk. Hillary stiffened. This is ridiculous. I came here for a substantive discussion, not a circus. Kennedy nodded. Then why'd you bring all them ringmasters behind the camera? Her staff winced. Hillary's expression chilled. Enough, she said. I'm not tolerating this insanity. Kennedy's voice turned formal for the first time. Ma'am, before you declare me insane, remember, you started this by tellin' me to leave. And I stayed. Because I respect the people watchin'. I respect the truth. And I respect the debate enough not to walk off just because somebody disagrees with me. Hillary opened her mouth, then closed it. The studio seemed to hold its breath. Kennedy continued, but his tone shifted again, gentler, almost reflective. Look, Secretary Clinton, we ain't gotta like each other. We don't even gotta agree. But when you tell someone to walk out, it usually means you're real worried about what they might say if they stay. And I stayed. The clock on the wall ticked loudly in the silence. I stayed, Kennedy repeated, because I ain't scared of the truth. And I ain't scared of you, ma'am. The words dropped like a hammer. Hillary froze, visibly, unmistakably. The tension in her shoulders locked. The stare she gave him wasn't anger now, but a sudden, undeniable awareness that the moment had slipped out of her control. Rebecca cleared her throat weakly. We're going to take a brief commercial break. But the cameras were already capturing the last image millions of viewers would replay for days. Hillary Clinton, silent and unmoving, her expression caught between irritation and disbelief, while Senator John Kennedy calmly folded his notes as though nothing at all had happened. The red recording light went dark. And America exploded.